that means you're dead, my friend. And I knew what to do. Gentofte Kino.
Okay, let's go.
I'm good. Good to see you.
That's a rather old picture.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, that was during 7 years in Tibet.
Okay.
Yeah. And that is no trick on this.
I know. We're going to talk about that. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
See you at the film.
Yes.
This week. Let's have a look up there. So, the guys from here, we've got Hjemmebio, and we've got over here. Yeah.
Oh my God, this is...
And we have Jan over here. And this is your movie.
Yeah, well,
It's
listen,
right here.
it's been a long time since I've seen those.
Yeah, it is.
Wonderful. There were, how many? Six?
Six reels, yes. And it's a nice print.
I can see that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's-
I
It's
see
a nice
this.
print. It's original, but it's still a really nice print.
Good, good, good.
Those the
The
colors,
colors are okay?
colors okay.
Not too
Sound
much.
is amazing.
Yeah. This is what I wanted
Magnetic
to hear.
sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what
That's
can you say?
That's a big difference.
It's
huh?
really a big difference.
Right.
And the thunder's in there. I mean, so it's really got so it's got some power to it.
And
So very pleased.
you know, I was trying to have the new DVDs or the
Yeah, yeah.
4Ks with the sound of the
Yeah.
sprint,
Yeah.
and they never did it.
They never did.
No.
No.
It's a shame.
Hello, sir. Nice meeting you.
Yeah, very happy to be here.
Enjoy. It's tied up here with all this stuff. All the way from Paris, flown in today, just to be here tonight, Mr. Jean-Jacques Annaud. Please come forward.
Hey, listen. Thank you. Thank you so much. No, but each time I come to Copenhagen, I'm so pleased to see so many beautiful people.
So welcome. Amazing to have you back here actually, because you were here last year for Notre-Dame in Flames, Notre-Dame in Flammer, and it was like amazing to have you here. And now you're back because this is really important for the cinema and also something that's close to your heart, the 70mm experience. And we're going to talk about the bear, of course, but also, Jean-Jacques, tell me, what is it about the 70mm experience that we are going to see tonight that is so extraordinary?
Well, you know what's make it very different, and frankly, I'm curious to see this movie again, because the last time I've seen it is probably in Los Angeles when I checked the print. I did the grading myself for the 70mm print. You know, the movie has been shot in anamorphic, I mean in CinemaScope, on 35mm, with the advantage that regular 35 has a smaller image than anamorphic, because on anamorphics, some, I'm sure professionals here, they know that we're using the full film, while in 35 we have to leave space for the soundtrack. Today, you know, what makes the big difference is not only the 70mm has more definition, because the negative is 35 negative, but when you blow it on 70mm, you have more definition because the negative, the positive is better. So this is very technical, but you get even if it's shot on 35, the 70mm print is sharper. But the huge difference is the sound. And in fact, I'm very sad that those movies that have been released in 70mm have been lost in a way, because the transfer on DVDs, for instance, are very often in 5.1, but even less, very often it's just simple stereo. And here you're going to see the movie with 6 tracks. Therefore, it's the first attempt of what we call Atmos today. Today it's 75 loudspeakers. In those days there were only 6 tracks, but I remember being very pleased with my sound, and very unfortunately very few people had the privilege to see it in a proper cinema, well equipped in 70mm. Even in those days, I think in France we had like maybe 30 cinemas playing a 70mm print, while we had something like 400 cinemas in those days playing the movie. So
yeah, exactly, because this is we're gonna talk about the film as well, but just gonna stick with the technical aspect right now, because this is with 6-track and magnetic sound. And for those guys you remember out there, it's like the old tape recordings, but this is just so much better. So the sound is very full and rich and very organic. And we try to transfer this into the cinema. We do the original old magnetic track tonight, even though it's an old print. It's not one of the original prints. We will screen the film tonight with French subtitles, but it's English language, right? So that's the proper one, right?
there is only 3 pages of dialogue in the whole movie.
Exactly. It was very important dialogue with these two
I
guys.
remember when I was pitching the movie in Los Angeles, I was, the story, they loved the screenplay. And they said, okay, so who's playing the bear?
Exactly. And let's talk about movie then, because who's playing the bear? And there was even an Oscar thing going on, trying to nominate the bear as best actor of the year.
Right.
That's
Yes,
true.
yes. Well, this bear became very famous. There was, I remember even in the French press, when this bear died, he was already, like 20 years old when I shot with this huge bear. He was the biggest bear alive, and when he died, he had front pages coverage.
Yeah, Bart was dead. Yeah, that's true. But that's also a thing about this film. We talk about the technical aspects, but it's before CGI. There's no computer images in there. It's just like proper filming. It's real film. It's real animals, and a lot of hard work, I suppose.
Yes, with what fortunately you don't see, but it's all the precautions we took to make sure that no animal would be hurt, of course, not even feeling in big danger, and that nobody in the crew would get hurt. Although I have been
Yeah, you got hurt, right? Didn't you?
Yeah, I almost died.
That's true, actually, because you had to take out 2 months of production.
No. I was, a very good friend with the bear, with the leading bear. And every morning, when I was getting on set, we would share our breath. So he would go like this, and I would do the same, but I almost fainted each time because, I hope my breath was not as strong as his. But one day the photographer had to make the usual picture, director and the star. And of course I wanted to show that my star was huge, and then I went on a little mound, of course all that protected by a fence. So I went into his park, in his domain, and I had him standing. He was, so high that his shoulder was here, and the head was, I couldn't see the end. To make it even better, I decided to squat. And then to make it even better, I always carry my viewfinder, which is hanging like that. And I took it like this, and he didn't know, he'd never seen my viewfinder under this angle. You know, he was over me. And I immediately understood that I did something wrong. He felt it was a menace. So he came down, looked at me, and did the following. He went, this protruding mouth. That means you're dead, my friend. And I knew what to do. I decided to be limp. And it struck me on my shoulder. And I went like 6-7 meters down. And he jumped on me, and I heard his mouth going clack, 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 all around me. Anyway, I'll make it short. The trainer was saying, "Oh, Bart, you're a good boy. Yeah, good boy. Yeah, he's a good boy. Yeah, you're a good boy." Clearly, he wanted to kill the director. But you know what? I remember I was under this. The stench was incredible, like manure.
Because it's a bear of 750 kilos. I mean, it's
750, yes, I think. Yeah.
It's a big bear.
And I decided, I felt, well, this is my mistake. Very fortunately, I read a book called Bear Attacks, and that book explained that the only survivors of bear attacks were those that were playing dead. Apparently, that was the only time I was a good actor, because he trusted I was dead.
So you were playing dead there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it could. I mean, so that's. I mean, because that's what I mean. It's actual living beings, and it's not a CGI thing. There's a few CGI things, not CGI, but there's a few puppet things in there, but that's Jim Henson design, but very few special effects shots.
Yeah, you know, I want to say to the young, I know we have in the audience some young viewers, be reassured. We tell the story without hurting the real animals. At the beginning, you will see a scene that may impress you. I have to tell you that it's a fake rock. The sound is done after, and it's not a real bear that is under the fur. It's a mime. Anyway, I'm sorry to say that, but I know some kids have been traumatized after that scene. No, what I want to tell you is, you know, the last 2 months of shooting, I had to go to hospital every morning and every evening after the shoot. So I was seriously wounded. I should be in a wheelchair today. Anyway, but I still like him a lot, that bear. And the very touching thing is, for the rest of the shoot, he never crossed my eyes again. Each time I was moving on the set, he would go like that, like a dog feeling guilty. It was very frightening to work with a bear, and you will see a scene that I'm very proud of, because it's all real. You will see a bear facing a man. My actor was terrorized. He has all the rights to do so, because I built my set along at the top of a cliff, and in case the bear would become very angry at him, his duty was to let himself fall in a net that was on the cliff, because the bear would be, even if he was very angry, he would not follow. And I had devised a set where the trainer was hidden behind the actor. So the scene you're going to see is real. I had planned 3 days to shoot the scene. I shot it in 3 hours. The reason is the bear had read the screenplay, apparently. He did exactly what I expected. When he saw that the guy was terrorized, he probably smelled the terror, because, you know, when we perspire, when we sweat, there is the sweat of fear, and the bear understood it and decided that he didn't even care to kill the guy. He just could go, and he did it in 1 take. I had 3 cameras, and this is what you're going to see.
Yeah, because tell me about shooting in the wild, because you actually, this is shot mostly in Italy, right? The film.
It's shot in Italy, in northern Italy, in Cinque Torre, near Cortina d'Ampezzo. It has been shot in Tyrol, in Austria, and some white shots in British Columbia. I remember the Canadian ambassador one day when I did the premiere in Amsterdam. The guy said, "I am from British Columbia. I've never seen British Columbia as well and beautifully filmed as you did." I didn't dare telling him that it was shot in Tyrol, but anyway.
Yeah, but imagine bringing all those cameras out there and to shoot this film, because you got so many. You must have, been spending a lot of time to get the right images when you're acting with, with animals. They say never cast animals and kids, but you just cast animals in there. So there's been a lot of reshooting.
We had to teach the bear, for instance, to limp, because you will see a scene where it's supposed to be hurt by a bullet. And of course, we wanted him to play it, to fake it. And it took us years, I think 2 years. And I remember, he knew like 30 words. Like smile was, that was smile. Well, and limp was the last thing he learned. And therefore, when we were asking to limp, he would go through all his knowledge. So he would roll, he would stand, he would smile, and then at the very end, he would limp, because it was difficult for him. But even another anecdote, you will see a fishing scene. Bears, especially grizzlies, are famous to fish salmons. And then this bear was coming from Utah. He had a lovely...
Yeah, that's another bear, right? Because you
No, the big bear.
That's the bear, okay, yeah.
The big bear. And he'd never seen a fish. He had a pond. We made a pond in his place. And we had a fisherman on the payroll. Every day he was coming with a salmon, a live salmon. We'd put it in the pond. And the bear would run away, hiding in the back of his cage. He had a small salmon and a 750 kilos bear, terrified by the salmon. 2 years later, I was in my country place. I remember the call. Yeah, yes! My trainer was yelling. He made it. Okay, and then he learned how to fish, how to catch a fish, and to eat it. And when we shot the scene, unfortunately, he ate like, 100 fish. And he was so full that he fell asleep. And we had the duty not to move. We were, there was a fence between the crew and the bear, but we couldn't move and never, ever run, because something that runs is a prey. And therefore, we had to wait for all that time. There was a big storm, and we were drenched, and the bear was sleeping after eating all those fish. Anyway, so I'm sorry for the fish, I must say. That was unexpected. That is the only problem we had with animals. In other cases, for people who know the early cinema tricks, we use what we call split screens. It means that we would shoot one animal separately and then the other animal on the other side, and we will match the two images later in post, but very, very few of that. What you were saying is that everything you're going to see, I saw it in front of the camera. It happened in front of the camera. No CGI at all, none. And the sound, on the contrary, of course, has been recreated later.
Yeah. Because, this was supposed to be your second movie, I suppose, after Quest for Fire. And then Name the Rose came in between, in a sense, because it took a long time to develop this film.
Well, it was a long time to train the bears.
Yeah.
Therefore, I had time to shoot The Name of the Rose, and before Quest for Fire, I shot two movies. Yeah. One who won the Academy Award, was my first movie. Yeah. And then a French film that is today a sort of cult movie in France, not very famous abroad, but that was my number 5 film.
Yeah, I was talking about the 70mm. That's why the Quest for Fire was the first one in 70mm. But you're absolutely right, of course, you did that.
I hope we can get it here.
Yeah. And then, hopefully we'll get it. But also, just returning to this of the big scale, because I read somewhere, and you may correct me, that you were the first one to ever do a 70mm IMAX film out of France. for Winds of Courage. Isn't that true?
Yes.
Big production as well.
Well, I've always loved having the experience of new equipment, and when I was on the contract with Columbia, the CEO. When they talk to me, say, "Hey, JJ, you're the only madman that I know that would love to shoot in IMAX. I have seen a demo. It's 2 minutes, but it's great. It's in 3D." So he flew me to Toronto. I saw that a little cabin, a first IMAX sample in 3D. Sorry, I was excited. I was preparing a movie about a French pilot. I said to Peter Gruber, the name of the CEO, I said, "Listen, I have a project that could fit to this." But the people at IMAX they said to me, "No, we are specialized in documentaries. What we're good at is sexuality of butterflies, but no actors. You will not make it." And I had to fight. But this is why now I'm still a big friend of IMAX. I went to the Congress a few months ago. I started the revival of 3D, and Jim Cameron became a friend because he was excited as well, and he did a first Titanic documentary underwater. He filmed the Titanic, and then I was quite excited, although, shooting not only in 70mm, but 70mm horizontal. So we're talking of a frame that is, for technicians here, 15 perforation, while in 35 you have 5, 15. It's a huge.
Yeah, just to say to talk to the audience. Normally we have 35mm. That's the old one, 3.5 centimeters wide. And then we got standard 7mm, just like 7 centimeters wide.
And then you
turn it around and make it like this size.
And you have two of them. You
exactly.
have 2 lenses.
And
so
then huge production.
It's a monstrosity. The cameras were the size of a Fiat 500. I don't know if you remember.
Huge.
But
and on real film, real film stock. That's also what's going to happen when you're going to see Oppenheimer this later on, hopefully in 70mm in this theater. I mean, Christopher Nolan does that still. And
I think
I would
today,
love to you to return to that format.
I think today, it's. I don't even understand why someone would shoot in other than digital. You can recreate. The big problem was the size of the capture in early digital were too small. Therefore, there was no depth of field. I'm becoming very technical here, but it's true that it had a meaning to shoot either in anamorphic or on 70mm because there was less depth of field, therefore the close-ups were more elegant because the background was out of focus.
But in this film, you have loads of big spaces on here, even though and you shot it in 35, I know. And I just want to round it up and talk about the bear once more, because you have actors in there, and you have 2 actors in this film. Were they on set a lot, or did you just wrap it shortly with the actors and then? Or were they through the entire production?
Well, I remember shooting 1 million feet on this movie. I became a big friend of Kodak, and got a lot of champagne every Christmas. I think no one had ever seen so much film stock because, the sort of anecdote. I remember one day. My crew is asking me, "What are we going to do today? We're in the mountains, lots of walking and all that." So I'd say, "It's the little bear looking left." They said, "Is it not what we did yesterday?" No, I said, "Yesterday it was the little bear looking right." Because it would take a day to have the proper emotion. Because the animals, you cannot say, "Okay, dear bear, little bear, jump on here, roll on your back, smell and look at the landscape." No, you have to wait and to manage to make sure that the little bear will invent it. and you have to be ready to shoot it on with several cameras in order to be able to catch it.
Yeah, so how many hours did you actually have editing down to 1.5 hour movie? I mean, a lot of hours of shooting, right?
I think to remember it was 150 days of shooting.
Yeah.
And from early morning, from 6 o'clock in the morning in the mountain until sunset.
Yeah, but you made an amazing film, and we're going to show it now. We're going to show it in the original 70mm. We're going to show it with the original sound, and we're so pleased you're here. And you're going to watch the movie with us.
Yes, because I want to, I've regraded the movie for different DVDs and all sort of things, but never with the proper sound that I work so much on. And I want to rediscover the movie. I think last time I saw it, as I said to you, is about, is it 35 years ago?
Oh, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, and maybe you should warn people in a sense, because today not many people are used to watching real film. I mean, and you will see this is proper film, so you will see that the image will do something like this. Sometimes when you look at the stars, it'll kind of not be like standing still. There'll be a little motion on there because it's 24 frames per second. But you will get a feeling, and what you have to watch is, of course, the organic of the colors. The colors are real, the skin is real, and it feels just like really like a big tension to watch this kind of film, a real film. So get into the emotion and forget about the color TV at home. This is proper film, right?
Thank you for welcoming me here. Thank you.
I'll help you.
Well, you know, it was probably like 35 years since I even seen this movie. As a matter of fact, the only time I see those my movies is when I do the comment for, you know, the DVD or whatever, or for a television show. But I never saw it again since I did the grading in Los Angeles. And I was very pleased with the fact that the print was very nice. And I love to hear with 6 tracks, you know, because I cannot see it anywhere else. So that's a very first time, and I was very pleased with the balance of the sound, because the big difference, you know, today, if you look at a 70mm print, you have the sound that the director wanted, and that does not happen on television replay or on DVD or whatever. Yeah, it was a good experience, frankly. Of course, I would shorten a little bit the cuts. It's a bit long, but it's a rhythm of the days, you know. It's not long, you know. It's an hour 30, but I would pace it a bit differently today. First of all, it's a good place for me to see it because I love Denmark, and I love the Danish viewers and the people here. So it was a very touching experience for me. You know, I'm really happy to have seen it in such a good condition, beautiful cinema, and beautiful projection. I was surprised to see that as I said before, that the print was the colors were absolutely what I wanted.